Welcome to Trekommendations, the show where a guest helps me to navigate through the enormous Star Trek universe and find something special. And I hate to be that guy, but before I introduce my wonderful guest, this is still a new show and a new channel, and you can help make it grow. A like, a comment, subscribing to the channel, or leaving a review on your podcast app of choice. These are just some of the things you can do to help me out. Now, beaming in this week, we have the creator and star of Bootleg Trek, the fabulous Jaay Cozy. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming on. Jaay, so obviously, if people haven't seen your show, they might not know your tastes yet in Star Trek, or they've not heard you on other podcasts.
Mhm.
So by now, hopefully, people are learning the structure of this show. I always like to start with some calibration questions, just so we can get a little feel for your taste in the world of Star Trek. So
Absolutely.
I've got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Um, First one is this: if you found yourself in need of a doctor, which doctor from the Star Trek universe would you hope is showing up?
You know, oh man, I like all the doctors, but in this particular case, to answer the question, something about the EMH, the Mercy Medical Hologram, just something about his character. It was just something totally different. You know, a
Yeah,
computer program with a bad attitude. You know,
yeah.
that's just funny to me.
It's funny because I rephrased the question because initially I was going to say if you had a medical emergency, and then
Ah,
I thought I better not say that because that will just make everybody think Voyager straight away. but but anyway, you went down that track. Yeah, I just recently was watching like the first two or three episodes of Voyager again
mhm, mhm.
and it's so interesting to see him when he first shows up, and his
Yes.
character is so curt with everyone and just kind of just turn me off. I shouldn't be here. I don't want to be
Yeah,
here.
and how they treated him, they left him on. They didn't tell him nothing that was going on. You know, every time the ship hits a phenomenon or whatever, he's the last person to know anything. The only person that really loved him was Kess.
Yeah.
When she was on the show for seasons 1, 2, and then 3, and then she left the show on the episode called "The Gift" when she started
Yeah.
transforming into another higher being. And when she left, she left on a shuttle, and then she said, "My gift to you," and then she kind of like disappeared into
Blasted them
like a,
forward.
yeah, to a beam of light, and it pushed the ship like 10,000 light years closer to home. I was like, yo, that's dope. That's a hell
Yeah.
of a gift. But
Yeah.
yeah, Kess
They
is
just needed
what,
a
what's that?
they just needed to find a few more of her. They probably could have
Yeah,
pushed all
all
the way over.
right. So I respect her character because she was the only one to me that gave a, sorry, that gave a crap about I had to edit myself for a second. That gave concern for the EMH, and I
Yeah.
respect her, and because of her, she talked to Janeway because she knew Janeway would listen to her. And then that's when Janeway came down. I think that was in season 1. She came down to sick bay, and she was like, "Hey, doctor, if there's anything you need, let me know." Blah blah blah. And then I think that's when he started gaining respect. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And then you look at him in Prodigy. Now he's going to be in the new Starfleet
yeah,
Academy. So yeah,
yeah,
what an arc that guy has had.
right. And he don't
And
outlived
at
everybody.
some point, yeah, and at some point in his career, he swung by to help Jay Cozy with some medical issue. So that's kind of him as well. Okay, next question. Next
Yeah.
question for you.
Okay.
If you could take a character from one Star Trek show and have them replace a character on another Star Trek show, who would it be and who would they replace?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I'm taking one person from another show and putting that
Yeah.
person in another show.
Yeah. And they've got to
Oh,
take somebody else's spot, right? They can't just be an extra character.
oh, this is a really good question. You know, oh, I would say they can It could be any character, right? Or does it have to be like a cast
Any
member?
character.
Any
Any
character.
character.
Honestly, I'm kind of on Team Tuvix because he got screwed. Okay, he got screwed, and people to this day are still talking about that. I mean, the man can cook. I mean, the guy was smart. I'm like, bro, we just let. I mean, but I would say, oh man, I should have. I didn't think about this. I didn't know about this question.
Yeah. It's
I
hard
I
to
would,
think about a question before I've asked it. That's true.
yeah. Oh my gosh, who can I think of that I don't like? Ah, oh my gosh. You know, I didn't really. Oh, you know what? Dr. Pulaski, I think her name was the doctor before
Right. Yeah.
Crusher. I didn't care for her because she was mean, and I'm putting it nicely. I'm trying to keep
Yeah. Yeah.
this friendly. She was just
I
so
appreciate it.
mean and rude to, I think, to Picard, especially Data. I didn't like that, and you could take her butt out and replace her with I was going to say Crusher, but they end up doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, you could take her out and replace her with Dr. Bashir, I guess. But then who's
Yeah.
going to replace Dr. Bashir? You
Well,
know what?
she's gonna end up on DS9, and Cisco could sort
Oh,
her out.
there you go. Because Cisco chewed out everybody. And that's what I like about him. So you know what? She can go on DS9 and get her butt chewed out by the Cisco. There we go. Boom.
I like it. I like it. I like initially there was like almost a loophole to get Tuvix back, but
Yeah,
let's forget that. We're sticking with the Doctor theme. I love it.
I was
Okay,
trying to figure out a way to get two Vicks, but yeah, no. Yeah.
that's fine. Final question for you.
Okay.
And this will be interesting given, if people follow you, they know that beyond bootleg Trek, you dabble in film, in martial arts, and a few other things.
Right,
So,
right.
given access to a holodeck,
Mm-hmm.
what is the first program you are running?
Oh my gosh. Man, you hit me with these hard questions, man.
This is, real media. We are the hard-hitting questions over here.
Yeah, man. Oh, this is such a great question. Wow. Um, what would be the first thing I would do? I mean, there's so many things I can do. I can do fantasies. I can do, man. I think what I would do, honestly, I would probably try out a video game of some type. You know, because right now, we're playing a video game doing either this, okay, either this on a controller or this on the keyboard. I will, or the whole VR thing. But what if you can load up Call of Duty and you in there playing a soldier or whatever, and you get to shoot some people? Okay, I'm about to cuss. I had to hold myself back. I'll probably pull up some type of video game, maybe probably Call of Duty or something like that. Something that's
Yeah.
very immersive, or you know what, or something like Dead Space or something like that. You know?
Yeah. You work in space, you live in space, and now let's go play Dead Space. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
nice.
or
No.
or fight those xenomorphs things, alien things.
An alien, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
them things creep me out every time. All that they be drooling too much for me, man. Just they be getting on your face. They're just like, man, clean that up before you get in my face.
Yeah. That has given me a good idea for a future question, but I will make
Okay.
note of that now.
All right.
That's given me some inspiration there. No, I love it. Yeah, you take something you already love playing and
Yeah,
just see
yeah,
how immersive it is doing it kind of
yeah.
for real, I suppose. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
like it. I like it. It's a good answer. Okay, I feel like people have, we've understood where you sit now in the Star Trek world. So it's time to have your recommendation.
Right.
For your recommendation, you have 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
Can you tell us what it is and why you
Mhm.
brought it to the show?
Okay. So my recommendation is the recent released video game called Star Trek Resurgence. It is a interactive type of game where you have to make decisions. I think you play a lieutenant or something like that, and based on your decisions will determine the outcome of the game and determine the ending of the game. And once you make a decision, it's not like, oh, let me go ahead and hit a checkpoint and read. No, no, no. You make the decision. Now you got to live with it. So whether that might cause another crew member to die, or the ship to explode, or you die, or everyone dies, you got to live with it. I bring it to the show because this is all track, and I think it's a really good game from what I've seen on the demo and stuff like that. It's a really good game, and the graphics are pretty good. It takes place, I think, right during Voyager time frame because they had the uniforms with the silver shoulders on them. So that's my recommendation.
Excellent. I love you quickly showed. That's my recommendation just before everything blew up. There we go. Look
Yeah,
at that. Oof,
yeah.
it's about to blow up. Excellent. So this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is very interesting. So again, this is just episode 3, which I love. I love how early doors we're establishing kind of the different things that can happen on this show. So
Yes.
episode 1, we had a book from the 60s. Episode 2, we had a musician and content creator from, now.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got a game, but also this is the first recommendation I've had on the show that I have actually, experienced myself as well. I've played this game. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay, great, great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you first come across it? I mean, well, actually, it's obvious, I'm looking at your holodeck recommendation, the fact that you very easily had a controller to hand as soon as you mentioned video games.
Yeah.
I see a Mortal Kombat poster in the background.
Yes.
Am I right in assuming you're a bit of a gamer?
I am. That's just so I got Gears of War 3 back there. Halo. That's my logo for my video production business. And then like behind my PC here, I call it the command center because I got two big giant 35-inch monitors. But behind here, I got Halo 3 and all kind of stuff. But yeah, I am a gamer, and I love games. So, but yes, I am a gamer. Yes. And the answer to your question, how I came across that Star Trek game. Yes. So actually, I was because I game on console and PC, and so I happened to check Steam. That's where I get a lot of my games from.
Right.
And I checked Steam, and I was like, let me see what kind of Star Trek games they got. So I typed in Star Trek, and I came across this Resurgence, and I was like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and I saw the little trailer and all that, the gameplay, and I was like, yo, this is so cool. It reminds me of the game by Telltale, whatever they're called.
Telltale. Yeah.
Telltale. The Walking Dead. Because I played all of their Walking Dead games, and you had to make a decision on how things are going to go. And I saw that, and I was like, wow, I gotta play that. So that's how I came across that. And I like
Yeah.
games like that. So
Yeah. So obviously having, sometimes when there's something, they slap a Star Trek logo on something and
yeah.
suddenly we like soften on it and we're like, oh yeah, this is probably really good because it's got a
Hmm.
Star Trek logo on it. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it seemed like a bit of a poor product, but you've just slapped some branding on it to sell it to people that like Star Trek. Um, Taking this just as a game
Hmm.
and kind of stripping away the Star Trek aspect of it,
Okay.
is it a good game in your opinion?
I think it is because the reason why I think it's good is because games like that to where you have to interact because most games you just run and gun shoot whatever there's an objective, but this particular game, or any other type of interactive game, it really makes your mind, it really makes you think. It tests your ethic skills, what's ethical, what's not. Is this really moral? Like, should I do this? Granted, it's a video game. Okay, you can always hit restart, I got it. But it puts me, and this is because I love getting into a video game. If I'm gonna pay a good chunk of money for a game, I got to get into it. I got to get emotional, whether I'm sad or I get pissed off, whatever. I got to get into it. So the fact that I get a little hesitant, I'm like, man, should I make this decision? If I do this, maybe the warp core might breach. I don't know, but it makes me think. It stimulates the mind. It makes me think of scenarios that I didn't think about or haven't thought about before. So that's why it really stimulates the intellectual part of me.
Yeah. Um, Have you played like many other Star Trek games? Because
Oh man,
there's kind of yeah,
yes.
yeah. Go no, you go for it.
Oh yes. The very first Star Trek I played came out in the '90s. It came on floppy disk back in the day. That was Star Trek. They made two of them with the original series, Star Trek Judgment Rights and Star Trek. I forgot the other one. Then I think around '94 and '95 when CD-ROM came out, they went ahead and redid the game and put it on CD and actually had the cast of the original series voice the characters. Then you had Starfleet Academy. Um,
Yep.
I had that. Klingon Academy. I played that. Star Trek British Commander. Love that game. I have that game right now on PC. And if you get that game, there are so many like modifications you can get. It looks really good. You can get all the ships and stuff like that. Star Trek Elite Force 1 and 2. I have that. Uh,
Yeah. Which they've just been talking about. It was like the 25th anniversary of very
yes.
recently, that game.
Yes.
And I cannot understand why it's not in the PS Plus like catalog of like they've got the classic catalog, they've got PlayStation 3 games, they've got,
Yes.
PS1, PS2 games. How have we not got that game? Like
I
the
mean,
25th anniversary was ideal time to put it out.
right. I mean, and that game was I think it was before its time. It really was. I mean, it was just groundbreaking for a Star Trek game. A first person shooter for a Star Trek game? That's usually, not Star Trek games never usually been like that. It's always figuring stuff out. Matter of fact, I got Star Trek Generation for Sega Genesis. They had a game for Sega Genesis. I have that game. Um, there's a whole list of. I know we're on
Yeah,
borrowed time, but there's a
that's
whole
right.
list of games I play. But the most recent one that I play all the time because that's where I get my exterior shots for bootleg track is Star Trek Online, and I play that on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had noticed that that's where your shots had come from. I was like, "Oh, I've played Star Trek Online." I was like, I see where this guy's getting stuff from." Um,
So
yeah. But
I use a combination of that, and then in a future episode, I'm probably going to use Bridge Commander because it's gonna get crazy in episode 3 soon. It's gonna get crazy when we get there. So yeah,
okay, well, spoilers, guys. We're looking forward
little
to that.
spoiler, little spoiler.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason I ask is obviously like I know people that will have been like, I don't really play games. I go out and I buy this game just because it's Star Trek and I'm going to try it.
Yes.
And maybe they're not used to playing Star Trek games, so it's just nice to kind of set that again. Similar to the calibration questions, we're just kind of calibrating. Okay, this guy, he knows games and he
Oh yeah.
knows Star Trek games
Mm-hmm.
and he likes this game. Um, you're talking about like the decisions you have to make.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's interesting with the decisions is it's what I find interesting. It's not just like, oh yeah, if you make the wrong decision, the warp core is going to blow up. But some of the decisions are like you they put you in positions where you just cannot make everybody happy, and it's
Yes.
so frustrating, right? Like you're like, I just want, if you do this, you're upsetting the chief engineer, and if you do this, that the science officer is going to be angry, and you're like, oh, who am I siding with in this, and what am I doing? And
Right.
that and that's what you're
That's
saying. Then you have to live with those decisions because later
yes.
they will remember
Yes.
what
And
you did.
and and it's and I'm glad you mentioned that because I forgot to mention that. But you're right because that's how real life is. You can't, despite your best efforts, you're not going to win everybody. You're not going to please everybody. Despite your best efforts, there's always going to be someone upset, and it's just one of those things. It's like, well, what do you do? I'm not God. I can't just, or Q, for example, I can't just snap my fingers and make everybody be like, all right, yeah, this is great. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So, but I like how you said
As it's a very narrative driven game,
that.
obviously,
Yes, it is.
unlike something, we were talking about things like, Elite Force, that obviously there's a narrative, but it's secondary to kind
Yeah,
of just
run and
going
gun.
around playing the game.
Yeah.
This is very much, while you're still doing, you said it, I mean, if anyone's ever played a Telltale game, it's very similar to that, as you said. So
Yep.
it's not just a decision making game. You're also having to do stuff with the character, actually make them perform things and find things and search and stuff like that. But obviously, the story, the narrative is the driving force of the game.
Right.
Is it a good story in your opinion? Like, if this was just an episode of Trek, would it be a good episode, a good show?
For me, yes, because, and I say this because now I'm gonna be honest, I only have the demo of the game, so
Right.
but I think it's good because it's kind of like a continuation of that particular time period of Star Trek. Late 24th century going into the 25th century. Like for example, like Star Trek Picard, it's like in 2405 or 2410. So I like the fact that it continues that era, and I like that versus I'm not throwing shade on Discovery or anything like that, but it's like, dude, we went from this time frame to 500 years to the 32nd century. I think that was just too much. Me personally, to me, why can't we just continue on where we left off? Why do we keep going back, and why we keep going forward? Why can't we just continue where we left off? Can we just continue with Voyager getting home? Okay, I know they just released a homecoming comic book about that, about what happened after the ship got home. But why can't we continue from that? Picard was the closest thing we had. Okay, Star Trek Picard. It took place 20 years after 20 years after Nemesis took place, 20 years after Nemesis and Voyager getting home. So that was kind of nice, but that's still a big gap. It's still a big gap. But anyway, I'm gonna reel myself back in. I'm sorry, but I like it because it's a continuation of that era, and we can still see the uniform that we are used to seeing, like what Cisco had on, what Generations Picard's crew
Mhm.
had on in Nemesis. I like that. It still shows that era. So I know
Yeah.
it's kind of a long answer. I'm so sorry.
No, no, it's fine. So it feels like a natural. I guess as well, the danger is always when they just mask another, like someone's come up with a game like, oh, we've got this sci-fi game,
Yeah.
and somebody says, oh, you know what, let's make it Star Trek and it will sell more copies, right? Like that's the fear. Whereas this, you're saying it feels like, no, no, this was from the ground up. This
Mhm.
is Star Trek at its core.
Right.
it's it's got everything set up the way, like, as you say, you could imagine it's just like a sidequel episode of, okay, well, Voyager's off doing this and stuff's happening over here on Deep Space Nine and this and that. In this little corner of the galaxy, this is going on,
Right.
and you're just watching the adventures of another crew doing their duties, and
Absolutely. Right.
it's a very it's also like a very diplomatic focused
Mhm.
story.
Right.
See, I don't know how far you've got now. Now, I don't want to
No, don't
spoil
worry
anything
about
for
it. I
you.
don't care about spoilers. Yeah, I got to finish the demo. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, I am going to buy the actual game because I think it's really, really cool. And I know they got a new Voyager game coming out too. I don't know if you heard about that.
I have heard about that. So
Yeah.
currently, I saw so Resurgence that I bought on day of release. Just so you know, I was waiting for it to come out. I'd wishlisted it, and when it came out, bang, got it straight away. Um, and then I got a pop up the other day from the PlayStation Store being like, "Oh, Resurgence is on offer." I'm like, I've already got it. Like, why are you telling me this now? Like, this is crazy. But if anybody's listening to this currently, as of, if you're listening to this on the day of release, like 2 days ago, Resurgence is on offer. It's like, I don't know, $5, $6, $7, something like that on the PlayStation Plus store if you want to buy it. So there you go. But I've seen that. I think yesterday I got a pop up saying you can finally wishlist the new Voyager game.
Oh, really? Wow.
I
Okay.
think so, yeah. And I forgot, and this has reminded me that
Oh well,
I
you're
need to do
welcome.
that.
See, I knew I'm. See, I'm good for something. I'm good for something.
Yeah. Um, I'm not sure about it. I'll wishlist it, but I don't know. I need to see
Yeah, same.
a little bit more of what it's actually going to be.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel this? Because it feels like there's been a bit of a drought in. the Star Trek game world.
Yes.
Um, did this kind of scratch an itch for you? Then that you know you've was this good enough, or do you still feel like we really need more?
Well, okay, so that's a great question. So I'm sure you probably saw the same thing I saw. The trailer. I saw the trailer for it. I saw the trailer for it, and I said, "Wow, it looks good." But then I saw, if you look on the Steam, they show like screenshots of like inside the ship, the deck layouts, which is cool.
Mhm.
But I'm a little skeptical because I want to see the gameplay. I gotta see that gameplay. I want to see something, a demo or something. The trailer was what reeled me in because I love Voyager. I really do. And I think your last guest, she loves Voyager. I think that's her favorite
Yeah.
one. I think. So I love the show. And I saw I said, oh yo, let me check that out. I didn't actually, to be honest with you, I didn't even know about it. One of my bootleg track fans hit me up in the DM on on Instagram. He said, "Hey man, check this out." I didn't even know about it until literally just 2 weeks ago. I just found
Oh,
out,
really?
and I said, "Wow!" But to reel myself back in, I'm sorry. I when I start talking, I take off. I to answer your question, I don't know, man. I'm a little skeptical. The trailer looks good, but I need a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Resurgence game, then the one
Yes.
you're recommending to people to check out, uh, where does that sit in kind of? I guess you know you've mentioned you've played a lot of Star Trek games.
Yes, I have.
Um, where do you kind of put that in with the different games you've played? Like if somebody's thinking, well, I like Star Trek games, and I really loved this game. I wasn't a fan of that one. Where would you put it in kind of what's it most similar to, or what games which Star Trek games did you play that you were like, okay, this is because I know it's not really like any of them because it is very much its own thing,
It is.
but um, but I mean, for me, I would say if you love kind of like the ship combat games where you're just you're controlling the ship like externally and maneuvering it and you're managing that, this isn't that.
No, it's
Like
definitely
this
not.
is
It is not that at all. Um, I like the fact that I think there's one level. I can't remember if it's on the demo or not. You're on a shuttle. You get to pilot that. I think I don't remember, but
Mhm.
this one is definitely Resurgence for the record. This one is definitely different. And to answer your question, I would think hmm, it's kind of hard to line it up with another game because this game takes place in 2024 2025 timeframe. But if
Mhm.
you want current track, well, let me rephrase that. If you want 24th 25th century track with today's graphics, and I know some people in the reviews are saying they didn't think the graphics were good enough or whatever.
Yeah.
To me, I thought they were great compared to what I'm used to seeing from the past Star Trek games we've had. This is a huge upgrade compared to anything we've seen over the last 30 years or so of Star Trek games. Um, a lot of these games, like if you look at Star Trek Armada and some of these other games, the graphics was only good during the cutscenes, but the gameplay look kind of suck,
Yeah.
And but now with today's technology, we're able to remake it with today's graphics and stuff like that. Like for example, I know this is not Star Trek, but look at Dead Space that came out the video game. You had Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. They remade Dead Space 1, and I have that game. I bought it off the Steam, and that thing looks chef kiss. That thing is beautiful. So um, I would say this game, it's if you want something more advanced, something that's a lot easier on the eyes, and it reminds you of the actual show. I think this is the way to go. I think that's the
Yeah.
best way to answer your question.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's also paced, and again, And this hurt me the other day because you were saying like modern Trek, and then you have to kind of correct yourself and be like, well, 21st
Right.
century Trek. And I remember like just a few days ago I heard somebody talk about classic Trek,
Uh-huh.
as in your next gen Voyager DS9, and that hurt me on a level where I was like, oh, no, that's modern Trek. What are you talking about? Classic Trek?
Yeah.
That's TOS. That's classic. And so, but no, apparently that's classic now. So,
Very.
but this game, while stuff happens in it, to me it also paced similarly to your next gen, your Voyager, your DS9, in that there are moments that are around a conference table, quite slow discussions, making decisions, coming up with plans. There are moments of action where you need to be ducking for cover because stuff is happening, but it's hard to explain, I suppose. But like games are usually either quite fast paced or they're
Yes.
kind of a walking simulator. This, it does just nicely kind of keep crossing back and forth over that line,
Hmm.
just like an episode of Star Trek where there will be quiet moments, there will be moments of diplomacy. You have Picard, you know, in his Shakespearean style, trying to de-escalate a situation, and then you'll have them on a planet, and Worf is losing it, and he's trying to take everybody out with
I didn't,
with
I didn't
a
like how
rock.
they did Worf. I didn't like how they did Worf on Generations. They're always beating
Oh,
him up. Like here he is, this big strong dude, and every time there's a situation on the Enterprise D, okay, Captain, watch out. Like he'll try to like phaser somebody, they'll duck and phaser him. Oh, oh, oh. I'm like, bro, like he was
yeah,
so fragile on TNG. But see, they made it up. They made that up for DS9.
for this time.
DS9,
Yeah.
he was a beast. And I love that episode where they were all cloned. Their
Mhm.
replacements were on DS9, and him and Bashir and Romulan and one Breen guy were actually on a asteroid or rock. It was some type of fighting camp, and they had to go against the Jim Hardar 101 in that little ring.
Right.
And I like how he was holding it down. Like nobody could f with Worf like that. You know what I'm saying? They could, So they made it up in
Yeah.
DS9. But
Well, I remember reading some years ago about this
yeah,
this like the Worf phenomenon, and basically it's just a cheat to be able to immediately convey how dangerous an enemy is.
hmm.
Because if somebody like beams onto the bridge and takes out Wesley Crusher, you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? But the fact that they can take out Worf, you're like, oh, if they can take out Worf, they can take out anyone on the bridge, right?
I never
So
thought of it like that.
it's just a quick way to show the level of threat. But in retrospect, it just looks like he's constantly
That's
he's
what I'm
bad at his
saying.
job. He is just constantly getting beaten by whoever lands on the bridge, because it's just the quick kind of way to convey, yeah,
How
he's
powerful
this
people are.
person's dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
I, I,
Anyway,
and that makes sense. I never thought of it like that. So thank you for giving me that perspective.
there you
But
go.
you're right. But at the same time, though, man, they made him fragile, and he always got denied on the bridge. You ever think about it? Every suggestion, there's actually a video on YouTube called Wharf Denied Compilation, whatever. It's a video showing him getting denied every time he makes a suggestion. I hated
Yeah.
that. But on DS9, oh, they listened to him. Like I said, DS9 really put him on the map,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Him and Chief O'Brien, because they both came from
Mm,
TNG.
yeah. I saw a video the other day, and at the end they were explaining. It was a video explaining Worf's appearances in all the different TNG movies, because obviously at
Yes,
that time he'd moved over to DS9, so they
yes,
constantly had to kind of justify his return.
right.
But at the very, very end, they read a line from a script that hadn't made it into the show, but they were just saying these comments. It like cements that Worf is a DS9 character, not a next gen character, which is like, oh, really? Which sounds crazy, because you're like, well, he was in next gen from the start to the end. He
Yes,
came into DS9, partway through, but for many, he is first and foremost a DS9 character who started on next gen, which is, an interesting way to look at it. An interesting way. Anyway, excellent. Well, thank you very much for talking us through Star Trek Resurgence. We'll get you back on when the Voyager game comes out. There we go. let's
I would
let's
love
do
that.
that.
I would love that. Just let me know. I would love to come back when that game comes out, and I can give you
Yeah,
my opinion on it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, only if you like it, only if you're recommending it. If you don't think we should get it, you have to come on and talk about something else, and then just as a footnote mention, don't buy that Voyager game.
good point. I'll make sure to keep that in mind.
um, Jay,
Yeah.
one thing we always ask our guests
Mhm.
is, in the spirit of collaboration and Starfleet and having people help us out, is there an area of the Star Trek fandom that you haven't explored as much as you would have liked, and you would want a recommendation on maybe where to start or something to pick up or something to read or watch? Yeah.
Good question. Well, I'm gonna start off by saying this. Star Trek has so many unanswered situations. Um, and that's why you have the books and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to copy Linda, but Linda, she made some good points. There's so many books that cover all these different things that we didn't see on screen. So, with that being said, I would have loved the show to really. I don't mean to be on repeat, but I really wish it would continue on. I would have loved to see what happened with the crew of Voyager. Always saw. Think about it. All we saw them do, they came through the transwarp hub, fired the transphaser torpedoes. They blew up the spear. We didn't even see them inside the spear. I think it was because they were short on budget, whatever. But anyway, the point I'm making is, we see them. Janeway's like, set a course for home. Okay, and then the people behind her, they turn around, they look at the screen. Harry Kim, you could tell he was crying on set. You could tell, and you see the ship coming in. They play the freaking triumphant music in the background. They head towards Earth, and then rolls the credits. Like, bro, what? Like, you could have showed them docking at Starbase. You could have showed them landing in San Francisco because the ship can land. I mean, you could have showed them reuniting Tuvok, reuniting with his family so he can get that specialized Vulcan mind meld to cure his neurological disorder thing he had going on. I mean, there's so many things we could have seen what happened with Janeway. I think Mark moved on. I think, yeah, but
Yeah.
still, we could have seen what happened with 7 and 9. We got a little bit of it in Star Trek Picard, where originally they denied her because she was a former Borg, and that pissed off Janeway. And I think from what Seven said, she resigned from Starfleet. So it's like, whoa, Janeway resigned from Starfleet. We could have seen that, but it kind of don't make sense because when you look at Star Trek Prodigy, she's an admiral,
She's an admiral. Yeah.
and so
So,
does
so you
Prodigy.
just need something to fill the gaps, is what you're
Yes,
looking for.
yes. So does Prodigy take place before Picard or after Picard? So, but anyway, let me reel myself in because I can go on and on about that. But I would love to have seen what happened with Voyager. Overall, I think it was good. I really do. But it'd been nice to get that really satisfying. Oh, matter of fact, I agree with what Garrett Wong said that played Ensign Harry Kim.
Yeah.
We could have had a Voyager movie. I'm with him on that. They could have did the first part, like he said. They could have did the first part of them, the first half of that episode, and then the second episode to be continued in a theater near you. I agree with him on that because we could have really dived in. But anyway,
Yeah.
them and a DS9 movie. Matter of fact, have one to where they all work together and do this this badass, like, excuse my language, sorry, this bad, awesome movie where all of them are together. Can you imagine that? DS9, TNG, Voyager, if you like that era, together in a movie, taking out the Borg, or because originally we were supposed to get some big giant Borg battle, in First Contact. We didn't really get that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Anyway, let me stop myself. I'll keep going on and on. I'm
I
sorry.
love it. Yeah. It's great. I mean, you've got passion
I
and
yeah
you know the shows.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So I guess if anybody knows anywhere where you can find all that stuff that didn't happen, that they never filmed, do we have scripts for it? Do we have books that elaborate on those points? That's what we need. So that's what you can send over, everyone. Right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you very much, Jay, for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Um, if people want to find you, follow you, see what else you're doing, um, Trek related and not, where should they go? What can they see? What are you up to?
So you guys can find me at BlackDog07. That's BLAKDAWG 07. On Instagram. Um, you can catch me with the popular series Bootleg Track. You can also catch me with other projects I do because I do film on the side, professional filming. Um, I do stuff either my own projects or I do stuff for clients. Um, which is I have another page for that called FEP Films Production, which stands for Feel It Repeats Films Production, because I named that because I want the audience, I want our clients to feel every piece of the experience of what we're showing, what we're telling on camera, how we're bringing this to life. So that's where you guys can catch me, but primarily you can catch me on Black Dog 07 for all kind of content and stuff like that. Motorcycles, working out, stuff like that. So
Excellent. Okay, so if you're not already following Trekommendations on all the socials, go and do that.
we'll do.
Then go and follow Jay as well, because you support him. And as I said at the opening of the show, if you can subscribe to the channel, if you can leave a comment, if you can um, leave a review, if you're listening to this on Spotify or whatever podcast app you're using, all helps to make the show grow. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again to Jay for coming on. I will be back next week with another new guest and another recommendation.